This week's video is a little bit different than normal. It starts out a little dry. I have to kind of explain why I'm doing this to begin with, but it does get better, so hang in there for the full explanation. And I want you to know up front that this whole video is not taking sides. It's explaining both sides of where this is coming from as a result of all of the requests that I've had, both from EXO coming to me directly saying, do you see anything that I did wrong here? And then the response that I have gotten from Rockville on a few questions that I had myself. So here it is. I have had a lot of requests for this week's Tech Stuff Tuesday. Here's a little background. EXO Contralto, 1 year ago, got a Rockville budget sub. Blew it on rated power, underrated power, did not hold up very well. He was very disappointed at it. So fast forward a year, Rockville comes out with the V2 of that sub. They make some changes. All of that is explained in his video. Go watch it. It'll make all this make more sense if you haven't seen it. But in that video, he shows the difference between the V1 and the V2. He does some testing. The V2 does outperform the V1 in thermal capacity. However, it still fails. So then the question comes up, why did it fail? Two things were done in EXO's video. He compared the 12 and he compared the 15, both in car, and then the 15 he did on a shelf. Watch that video again, it'll make a whole lot more sense. Here we're looking at the specs on the 12. There is the CEA rating, which is not actually a thing.
You see, CEA was created to match CEA subwoofers to CEA amplifiers of the same rating. A CEA rated 1000 watt subwoofer means that it can handle a CEA rated 1000 watt amplifier playing music right before clipping.
No, it's not. This is directly from the CEA2006.com website that indicates exactly what it is. It's for comparing amplifiers. There's a standard of measure. What frequency, what voltage, what amount of distortion is allowed, all of that, so you can slap a CEA 2006 compliant logo on there and say, yep, ours is comparable to this other one. This is the power that you're going to get. That's totally not at all what you're explaining, and it has nothing to do with subs. Subs are not CEA rated. Amps can be CEA 2006 rated. There are no power ratings for sub. A CEA 2010 rating is for a sub, but it's for the amount of distortion across bandwidth. It has nothing to do with power handling at all. So this is already kind of weird because they're saying it's CEA rated, but that's not a thing. Then you have program, which is higher than that, which from a PA standpoint would be music. The RMS rating would be a constant power. RMS is root means squared. It's literally the average power that is a constant. Then you have peak, which is just a bunch of bull anyway. Peak ratings mean absolutely nothing, despite what you want to think. Even for a burp, peak ratings mean absolutely nothing. But then we have the 15. It's rated for a little bit more power. In EXO's video, he took it up to that power level, and it failed. It failed very, very quickly, and he did it playing music. So, in response to that, we had Rockville's video saying, hey, here's the real test of this sub, and why he blew it. They explained that it is not possible for a sub to play on that track and not blow. And when you use it how you're supposed to, which is setting your gain properly and then playing music on it, then you will never have a problem.
So the K9 passed with flying colors on the DB14. So remember, that's a 1000 watt CEA rated amp going to an 1000 watt CEA rated subwoofer.
So what did we see in this clip? Well, we saw music playing, which they set the gain on the 1000 watt amp, and I'm assuming they went to the maximum volume and all that kind of stuff. So we see their 1000 watt amp making between 3 and 600 watts, and you can watch the power the entire time, even when it's sped up. And then towards the end there, the sub's getting a burst of 600 watts, but it's hanging out around between 3 and 600 watts the whole time. So good reason why the sub didn't blow. The thing is, that's something different than what EXO was doing. He was showing actual power on one track. Their track was dynamic, had a lot of different frequencies in it. May have been recorded at different volumes, who knows? But it wasn't getting the same power at all. So then there's the whole reason of, what about the track that EXO was using? The first thing that we're going to look at is the audio file itself, because this all started from EXO's video. I had EXO send me the file that he used. So this is Gucci Mane featuring DJ Slow and Throw, I Think I Love Her. It's a rebased version of it. So you're thinking, it's rebased, it must be clipping. Well, we can check that. That's something that came up in the comments on Rockville's video, was it died because it was clipped. We could check it. We'll use Audacity. It's a free download for Windows and Mac, and anybody can use it. It's not like those 5-day free things. You can install it and use it all you want after that. So we go to the file, we Control A so we can highlight all of this. We're going to go to Analyze, Find Clipping. We're going to set the threshold to 2 samples. One sample is not 1 second. It's a very, very brief part of it. So we're going to do 2 samples just to ensure that there's no random freak peaks that just barely go over for a split second. So 2 samples. We'll hit OK. It's going to find the clipping. And here we have no clipping at all. This track is completely clean. The track is not clipped. Even if you look at it here, like, nothing about this is showing that it's going the outside edge there. So for everybody who was saying, well, the track was clipped and that's why the subs are blowing, that's debunked. This file is completely clean. I asked Rockville if they would send me the file that they're using, and they haven't responded to that. So I don't know if they're using a clip copy just for their own benefit. Well, I say benefit, but to show what they're saying in the video. But I'm using the same file that EXO is here, and it's completely clean. So that's not it. Let's move on to the next thing.
An 1000 watt CEA rated subwoofer does not mean it can survive an 1000 watt 40 hertz test tone for a long time. A 40 hertz tone is like 2 to 5 times more the power of music. It is super abusive to a subwoofer. You can easily blow an 1000 watt CEA rated subwoofer with a 500 watt 40 hertz test tone.
So I guess you know what has to happen next. And unfortunate for me, the air conditioning in our offices here died on Friday. It is Sunday right now, so we haven't been able to get it fixed. We don't have air conditioning. That means it's about 80 degrees in our office. The Rockville test, he was wearing a kind of heavy coat, so I don't know how cold it was there, but that also means that we're starting at temperatures that are maybe, I don't know, 30 degrees higher. So guess you'll see what's going to happen now. In EXO's video, he's putting a 15 where he's clamping power in real time, and he's using a musical track. Music is dynamic, as said in the Rockville video. Your power is going to go up and down as your impedance goes up and down. So you have a little bit of small breaks and that kind of thing that's going to cool the sub a little bit better. It's not using as much heat, and even though it is briefly, it's not using as much power, generating as much heat. So it's able to handle a little bit more power in terms of like an amplifier rating. So what we're looking at here, they rate their sub at 1250 watts of allegedly CEA rated RMS power. Program power is 2500 watts, which was never mentioned in their video, but that is quite literally musical. They're just saying you can put a 2500 watt amp that's musically rated for that, and it should take it, and then 5000 peak, which peak means nothing. So really, 1250 watts should, by all intents and purposes, be a constant power. So what we're going to do here is this is one of our lowballer 15s. This one is a prototype, one that we used in development, so it has a small amount of playtime. This one in particular we have kept around enough kind of break in, get specs off of. Not a ton of play sitting in car or anything like that. We know it's in good shape. We don't have our boot that we would normally have on here that would say EMF audio on it. That's the only thing that is different. All the other soft parts are the same. It is the same factory built sub. So what are we going to test here? It was said that you can't just put 40 hertz on a sub and it will take it. Every sub will fail is what was said. So here's the setup. Here's our 15, and I'm stacking the deck completely against me. I've got a sealed enclosure that I have no idea what the volume of this is. It was one that I had for a 4th order. So sealed enclosure. I'm going to leave it outside of the box, so inverted, so I can take coil temperature as it's playing and show that to you. This goes down to our America 12K, also one of the prototypes. It's not one that we would sell to a customer, so we use it internally. This is a 12,000 watt rated amplifier that can actually do 14,000 watts. We've got a bank of excess power batteries over here on a power supply, so we know that we are going to get constant power that's very consistent with everything we've got here. So we're clamping it on our term lab, and I will show this here as well. The bottom down here is the oscilloscope. We have volts RMS, amps RMS, volt amps, Z is impedance, and true power is the real-time actual power going into the sub. I didn't have a knob here to roll to get real specific power here. So what I'm going to do, another stack it against me thing, I'm going to start at higher than rated power. And then as the sub gets warm, the impedance will go up and the power will go down. So I'm not going to touch the volume the entire time. I'm just going to take it up maybe 800, 850 watts and let it fall down to the rated power. That's 750. I'm going to run it for a full 60 seconds. And it's just going to be a tone. And not only is it just going to be a tone, it's going to be a 60 hertz tone. Even harder than 40 hertz. So to recap, I'm playing a tone that is way more abusive on a sub than a musical track. I'm in a sealed enclosure where the sub will not move as much. I'm playing 60 hertz. That's going to be even harder on it because it's not moving as much. And we're going to do all this at a higher than rated power to start with. So this has every disadvantage it could possibly have for comparison. Let's get to testing. So we're over 900 there you have it. He said, 1,000 watt rated sub, you put a 500 watt tone on it, it will easily kill your subwoofer. I just put a tone on it. I took the temperature. It was hotter in there to begin with by probably 30 degrees. At least 20. I put overrated power on it. I left it on it for a minute and a half. I started over 900 watts. These subs are rated 750 RMS. 750. I went well over rated power. They didn't have any problem. You saw the coil temperature. No issue whatsoever. It just kept going fine. Playing 60 hertz, even harder. Very little throw happening. But it didn't die. 750 watts RMS. The 12 is $199 shipped, compared to their $115 for their 3-inch coil 12. This is a 2.5-inch coil 12. So this has everything against it, and it took it just fine. So it kind of looks like these subs will take more power than their subs. And these are rated for way less power. You saw the test. I didn't rig it. That's just how it is. So to recap all of that, EXO's test, he played music that was easier on a sub. He showed the meter. It was clamping power. I have no reason to believe that it was clipping at all, either the track or from power itself. If you look in his video earlier, it shows where he sets the gain and all that's fine. So I have no reason to believe that in his video he's clipping it at all. Everything looks fine. I see nothing wrong with the test that he has done. Rockville, in their video, they put their sub on there and they show that it's getting a third of rated power for an hour and it doesn't fail. This doesn't surprise me. Why would it? Even if you went by the whole putting a tone for half, that was the power that it was seeing, but it was with music. So this also doesn't make sense. Can you just go ahead and put a tone on it for that long? Well, on theirs you can't, apparently, because they didn't do that test showing that it would survive or not survive. So I'm going to assume that they know it's going to blow up that way. Our lowballer did not, disproving that's what's going to happen to your sub if you do that. This takes us into the next video that Rockville put out. It was in their Will It Blow series, which I'm pretty sure the intent was to blow something else up to make their own look like it's on the same level, while praising the other company and how great their stuff is, showing that it fails at the same kind of test that they're putting it through that's equal to theirs, making theirs look like a better product, I guess is the idea behind that. So let's look at that video and see what they did right or wrong in comparison.
Let's play some music and see what happens. I'll see you in an hour.
First thing you should note, on the musical test, they had a much smaller amp that was producing the, 300, 500 watts. They changed it out to a much larger amp to make the 750 watts. Because the amp that they did have that was rated for 750 or 1000 or whatever it is, it wouldn't make the 750 watts for this test. So they went to a much larger amp and they used that to produce the 750 watts. And if you listen carefully in the video, you can tell that it is still full range. It's not crossed over where it should be anyway. And it also sounds very distorted. if it's audible in distortion when it is not very loud at all, it's not too loud for the microphone. It's not that kind of distortion. They're actually distorting it quite a bit for 2.5 minutes. On this enclosure that they've got it in is on their website. It lists it as a 54 hertz tune. So if that is true, everything that they're playing here is way below tuning as well, which is more of a mechanical thing than a thermal thing. That's not the issue at hand here. But I don't think it's actually tuned to 54 hertz. If I had to guess, I'd say somewhere around 40 hertz. In comments on Rockville's video, they said that it was tuned to 35 hertz. Either way, they're putting bad information on their website when they're telling me one thing in comments, and then their website says 54 hertz, which is just plain ridiculous. So the SA15 video goes on to smoke the sub after 2.5 minutes, which, if you're keeping track, is still over double as long as their sub lasted, while appearing to be clipped from the audio. It's also being run essentially full range, which is also a big no-no, and that's definitely going to cause issues with accumulating heat much faster. It kind of looks like they may have rigged the test as best as possible to get the result that they were looking for, which would be blowing it on what is appearing to be around 750 watts. There's no oscilloscope on there like I showed you in my video. EXO showed it when he was setting all the gain settings and everything on his. His didn't sound clipped either. So they're not showing that it's not clipping, and it sounds like it's clipping, which makes me think it is clipping. Again, going to show that they're trying to push a result so it looks like something it's not. But that they go on to praise the sub as it lasted great, but no sub can do this. But I already showed you a sub that can, and the Sundown SA is on a similar line as our lowballer. So I have no doubt in my mind, if you took a same SA15 and put it with a lowballer alongside, you would get a very similar result, which is it doesn't die doing that test. So all of that seems very misleading. And they say there'll be more videos coming up with some technical things, but I kind of think they might be a little bit inaccurate or skewed based on what I have seen so far and what has been being said. I'm going to speak in a very calm voice that's non-threatening around a workbench full of a bunch of stuff to make me seem more credible about all this technical stuff that I'm talking about. From what I can tell so far, EXO's video, nothing wrong with it. Everything looks fine. He didn't do anything wrong. He just showed what the sub was really made of. But the Rockville videos, on the other hand, they look a little misleading. I think they may have staged them to try to make other products look just as bad instead of trying to make theirs look better, or even just kind of rethinking what their product line is. Now, here at EMF Audio, when we rate a product, we actually test it ahead of time. We make sure that what we're telling you it can do, it will do. I'm not so sure that they did that. I think they made the improvements to the sub, but they didn't really test them. They just took the word of the build house and said, okay, it's fixed. Now, unfortunately, I don't have one of their subs here to test. That's not something that I could get very fast. They're not available on Amazon Prime, so I couldn't get one in 2 days or even 1 day. Unfortunately, that is not something I was able to test for this video, but maybe that's why there's a part 1 and a part 2. Maybe part 2 will be next week. Remember, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you aren't already subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell, and you'll get notifications on Tuesdays when we upload new videos, or sometimes the random ones in the middle of the week. Don't forget to shop our website at emfcaraudio.com, where you can buy one of these super sweet lowballer 15s or 12s, as well as all of the other offerings from us, like Sundown Audio, XS Power, SBC and audio control. We also have some brand new EMF audio deadener. If you'd like to support us on Patreon, you can do that too. That link is below. Give us a follow on Instagram and Facebook while you're at it. And I'll see you again in another Tech Stuff Tuesday.